Anyway, I'm super psyched to talk about our topic today in Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday, which is upper limit problems. Now, I first heard of this when I joined my first business mastermind, like back in I think it was 2010. Like if Maggie Reyes listens to this, let me know like what year that was. But so we were asked to read a book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. And the upper limit problem was described by him as it's sort of like we have a temperature at which we're comfortable with our success level. Yeah. So we're all good as long as we hang out in that comfort zone. Yet, when we finally reach that, it's almost like our brains go, what the fuck is happening right now? I can't believe this is actually happening. I'm actually reaching this level. And then we self sabotage. So, this can be in really obvious ways, like, you know, picking a fight. So this is something that we often see, right? People talk about it in freedom school all the time, but it's like we pick a fight, and when a relationship's going really well, and it's like, why did I do that? Where did that even come from, right? We also like maybe we get an opportunity for a promotion, and instead of preparing for it and doing our best for it, we end up sabotaging ourselves by not preparing for it, or we stay up too late the night before and are hungover, or we go to a work event and maybe have a little too much to drink and embarrass ourselves, right? So these are all things that we can do to self sabotage. So for me, with Rebel Buddhist, what's interesting is I wanted to do it for like at least 2 years. And I spent a good 6 months trying to figure out what to name it. That was a good waste of time. So, worrying if it's the right thing or not, that's an upper limit problem. Then, when I finally picked a launch date, I blocked out a week to record. And I was like, all right, this is awesome. I'm going to do this during this week. I'm going to record all 4 episodes and it's going to be awesome. And I blocked out that week. I was at a meditation retreat the week before. So this is May 2020. So I'm not at a meditation retreat because of COVID, but I'm sitting in my yurt and I'm doing this like online meditation. And I start noticing that my throat feels a little funky. So I think this is probably Sunday, and I had planned to start recording the next day. And I was like, oh, God, this kind of sucks. I hope I'm not getting sick. And then, sure enough, the next day, I wake up with a sore throat and lost voice, laryngitis, right? And in fact, actually, my throat doesn't even hurt that much. It's more that it just felt really tight and I couldn't talk. Like, literally, I could not talk. And I'm like, what the fuck? I like never get sick. And if I do, I'm sick for like 2, 3 days. I like never lose my voice unless I was like at a Metallica concert or a Fronty concert and I'm like screaming or something, right? It's like, what the hell? And so I'm talking to my friends, my business mastermind friends about this. And I'm just like, this sucks. And they're like, sounds like you got an upper limit problem. And I'm like, for reals? And of course, they were right. Right? It's like, oh my gosh, here I am. This is so out of my comfort zone with my level of success that I had predetermined, my comfort zone, my thermometer, my barometer of my comfort zone of success. So I ended up self sabotaging by losing my voice. I mean, I hadn't even been exposed to anyone to get a virus, right? And um, so I thought, okay, what did that look like? And what it looked like for me is an upper limit problem. I start not taking care of myself, and then I do get sick. It's like, oh, I stay up late and I don't get enough sleep and I'm not eating well, I'm not exercising, and then I end up getting sick, right? So for me, that's a very common upper limit problem, right? We talked about some of the other ones, right? In terms of sabotaging relationships, sabotaging our own success and happiness, right? There's a part of ourselves that interestingly is afraid to be truly happy. Isn't that crazy? So when we get close to achieving what it is that we most want, our negative beliefs kick in because we can't tolerate exceeding our previous level of success or happiness. And this kind of maximum comfort zone that for how much happiness, love, or success, or abundance, or whatever it is that we allow ourselves is often programmed in early childhood. Like, the way I was raised was um, rich people are a little bit evil or a lot evil. There's something bad that they had to do to get that money, or that absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? Like if you're in a position of power in society, or well, truly spiritual people don't want these things, right? So it's so fascinating, right? Um, so we have these beliefs, and especially, also spiritually, because a lot of people think upper limiting beliefs has to do with just material success, right? But like I was saying earlier, it can be in relationship, it can be also spiritual progress, being told that you can only get to a certain point without an intermediary to help you progress spiritually, right? So we have a fear of being alone, we have a fear of failure, we have a fear of outshining others, especially if they're a family member or a close friend, and then we fear that they will shun us as a result. So these are all types of upper limiting problems, and these types of barriers exist in a ton of different areas in our life, right? Now, for some lucky people, maybe they can handle growth in so many different areas, but one, like maybe they're really great career wise, or fitness levels, right? But relationships sabotage them every single time, right? How many of you know that you've done this, right? I mean, I remember doing that, like, times where I've had an upper limit problem in the past were like relationships where um, also I would see red flags and start to show, and I wouldn't do anything about it, right? And it would create all this drama in my otherwise very content life. Or, super partying the night before I was going to do this huge alpine climb. It was like I was so stoked for it. It was going to be like my first time I would lead climb the entire alpine route. And I partied the night before and just felt like shit the next day. So I did it, but it wasn't like my optimal level, right? It was like, what was I thinking? So we do this in so many different ways, right? So for many of us, it's in many different areas. And for some people, it's just in one area. But here's what I want you to keep in mind. So, growth, any kind of growth, even growth we want, is uncomfortable and scary, especially when we're smashing old beliefs about what's possible. So, whereas where we are right now, even if we dream of moving beyond it, it's at least familiar and safe and a place that we feel is relatively predictable, right? And where we have a sense of control. So, oh, let me just see if there's any comments here. I can see in the chat box. I see someone raising their hand. Let me see. Lisa. Go ahead, Lisa. Did you have a question? Let me see here. Oh, Lisa, are you there? I just gave you the ability to talk, I thought. Not like you don't.
Yes. Yeah,
Hey,
can
Lisa.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Hi.
yeah.
I didn't really want to ask a question, but I don't know Zoom so well. I wanted to go, yeah, me. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that. I've done all those things. I was having a
Oh,
laugh
right. You're
at
you're like right here. I've been there. I've
experiences
done that.
right here. Yeah,
Absolutely. Cool.
too often.
Yeah. Is there a more recent
That's what.
one that you've done?
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. I'm enjoying listening.
Okay, right on.
I haven't had a
I will
drink in
put you back
13
to
years.
attendee
So
role so
yeah.
you're not on the spot.
Yes, please.
She's like, holy shit. She's promoting me to a panelist. What the hell does that mean? Okay, so yes, you can get coached here, by the way, if you are here. So, anyway, all right. So I don't see any other questions in the box. Hey, Kristen. Hey, Rosa. Hey, Brittany. So, so we're gonna look at, our own lives, right? Where are we coming up with upper limit problems ourselves, and how do we deal with it? Right. So for me, during that time, I was like, okay, so I was self sabotaging by not taking care of myself. So I went out to our yurt again, unplugged, signed up for another 4 day online meditation retreat, allowed myself to not make any goals or have any things I had to do, right? Told everyone to let go of expecting me to be productive, right? And what was interesting was that once I started to give myself what I needed, rest, and the moment I stopped feeling guilty for not being able to record my podcast, I started getting my voice back. It's wild how that happens, right? And so, remember that one of the underlying concepts of why we have upper limiting problems is we feel we don't deserve something better, or that we're not good enough to manifest or manage a leap in our abundance, success, or happiness or love, right? That we can't handle success. Like people who win the lottery, right? They like win millions of dollars, and they're like, their mind though hasn't caught up to that reality. So the thoughts are still, I don't deserve this, I'm poor, I can't, I don't know what to do with this. And so they end up self sabotaging. And often, most of them go bankrupt or end up right exactly in the economic bracket that they started out in, right? So it can feel like we're always on the verge of this kind of life altering breakthrough, and we can't get there, or we can't maintain it, or it seems like shit hits the fan just when we thought things were starting to finally come together, right? So you are not alone. Okay, so here are some things you can do. One is mindful awareness that the upper limit problem is even happening. Just once you have it in your awareness, it's like, holy crap, right? Okay, that's what's going on here. And we may not want to believe it, especially like illness. It's like, what do you mean? I have an injury or I have an illness. Well, I don't know about you, but when I've been in healthcare for like decades, right? And, and we see the power of the mind in creating physical manifestations all the time, right? So, mindful awareness that the upper limit problem is even happening, right? And we accept that the upper limit problems are completely normal and a necessary part of evolution, right? It's like part of the journey to uncovering our true nature, our Buddha nature, our highest potential. So we meet this challenge whether we're trying to grow spiritually, start a business, change how we show up in relationships, right? No one escapes it. So it's important that we not shame ourselves when it happens to us. And like with many problems, an upper limit problem is so much more easily addressed when we bring self compassion and mindfulness to the table, right? So these help us stay present with things that are uncomfortable, which makes it a lot less likely that we'll sabotage ourselves to avoid it, right? So we leave behind our victim mentalities, right? Like, why does this always happen to me? You let that go, right? Remember, the antidote to victim mentality from the self compassion podcast is common humanity. So remembering that this is part of the human condition. Our human brains do this to us. There's nothing wrong with us, there's nothing broken. We don't need to beat ourselves up, right? And you will repeatedly hit this upper limit problem. One important thing I wanted to say before I move on is that there are real limits out there, like within racist institutions, within patriarchal systems, with glass ceilings. So those are not upper limit problems. But the thing is, we tend to self sabotage, right? We tend to self sabotage way earlier than we tend to hit the barriers from that. Like, in terms of, yes, like I can be trying to create something in a patriarchal system, but my upper limit problems will often get in my way before that actual system ultimately can stop me or something, right? So we need to remember that it's so important to manage our mind so that we can more effectively deal with these institutions, right? And with these systems that we want to change. Because if we don't manage our mind, we're going to sabotage ourselves way before they do. Okay. So the next step is to start changing our beliefs about what's possible for us in our life and start practicing it, feeling it, and see it as it's happening right now and believing it, right? Like building a tolerance for how amazing our life can be because we don't want to have this little comfort zone right here. We want it to be out here and see what's possible in life. I mean, you don't have to, right? You don't have to. You can just be content, which is fine. But if you want more, if you want to experience different aspects for the creative joy of it, then let's not set limits around ourselves, right? Because most of us have no idea of how amazing life can be. We just want it to be better than maybe what our parents thought was possible, or what our ex thought was possible for us, or what our high school or college self thought was possible. But it can be so much more, right? So we have gratitude for where we are now, and then we start practicing the new beliefs. Remember, beliefs are thoughts we've had over and over and over, okay? Now, another thing you can do is like something I mentioned earlier, which is anticipating it happening as your success grows. So, for example, if I have a big project coming up, or I'm going to be on a really visible panel of coaches, right? Then I'll say, like, okay, watch for the upper limit problem, Anna. Are you going to self-sabotage here? So I make sure I get enough sleep, make sure I prepare, make sure I'm not creating unnecessary drama outside of my life, make sure I'm not over drinking the night before or something, right? So we anticipate, okay, I'm coming to my success edge here and I need to watch out for this upper limit problem. Sometimes I'll see it coming. I'll feel a little sick. I'll have that, throat change or something, or feel a little down. And I go, nope, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that, girl. So I ask myself, well, what do I need instead? Right? What do I need instead? So if I don't want to self sabotage, so I need to rest more. I need to slow down. I need to ask for help. What is it that I need so that I don't create an upper limit problem in order to get it, right? And a lot of it is managing our minds, right? So think about, how much abundance are you really willing to have? And then keep track of your thoughts, feelings, and actions and make sure that they align with that. Because when they don't, that tends to be where the self sabotage starts. When our thoughts, feelings, and actions aren't aligned with what we want, right? So keep that in mind. And remember, there are other systems out there that create limits, but we want to make sure we take responsibility for our role in when we get in our own way too, right? So if you spot yourself getting less sleep than you need, picking a fight with your partner when things are going well, putting off preparing for your presentation, losing your voice when you want to start a podcast, just stop, right? Offer the self compassion. Remember, it's a good sign. It means you're on the edge. It means shit is anything but boring right now. Okay? You're expanding your abundance, success, and love. So, rebels, take a moment today, think about where you might be having an upper limit problem, and listen to the pod tomorrow because I walk you through some steps to get over an upper limit problem, to get through it, okay? especially whenever you take your life to the next level, ask yourself that question. Because we just need to make sure we don't get in our own way. Okay? Okay. Have an amazing week. Check out the pod tomorrow. Oh, don't forget, today is the Speak Out Masterclass at 5 p.m. Pacific. Go to Naughty Buddhist, Naughty Buddhist, naughtybuddhist.com. Sign up. I'm going to teach you how to stay in your power when someone verbally attacks you or harasses you, and how you can have more verbal self confidence, right? These are the awesome practical things that we teach in Freedom School. So check it out, naughtybuddhist.com. It's free. It's going to be today at 5 o'clock if you haven't signed up already, okay? I will see you there. Ciao. All right. And then we're going to close all these windows.